How are we doing, Hedge? Well, you ate well yesterday. So we get up in the morning. First thing we do. 9 hours sleep. Right. First thing we do is just check that. See, it was a chilly night. Just check it starts. Once we know it starts, all is well. Run for 30 seconds. Recharges the battery for the power I've just used. Because batteries don't run around much, get low. Somebody pulled up here yesterday. I'm so glad he did. Because it reminded me of exactly. Not why schism is a big sort of melodramatic gesture. Two things I was reminded of last night. The important thing is everybody kind of takes away from who 7 years ago. I was a person 7 years ago. I was a person 7 years ago. I'd reached a point from 4 or 5 years living in a wonderful place, hilly, most fantastic nature you can find in Britain, aside. And I knew then why. I mean, it sounds negative. You see, this is why I actually hate the internet, and this is all I've tried to do. I knew then why, for various reasons, which crystallised last night. I went to sleep listening to a programme that is relevant. Everything crystallised as to why leave Britain. I mean, and I hate. Here's the thing, right, okay, waffle. If you live, this is the point, my whole life, for 20 years in fact, certainly 16, 17, if you live in a place aside, meaning 3 miles, 5 miles, kilometres, 10 kilometres, 5 kilometres, 10 kilometres away from a small town, I had established 20 years ago that even the small town of Hay-on-Wye, which was, we lived 10 kilometres up in the hills in a most gorgeous, fantastic setting, not privileged, rented, cheap, dilapidated farmhouse. No bohemian chic, that was all that was available, but loved it, loved every second. Because around it, we had no neighbours for a mile. Up in the hills, it was at 1,400 feet. It was tough. No heating. With my daughter, we had to grub our own wood from around and about. I'd already established then, 20 years ago, a small town in Britain is full of lost ex-city people who've got no idea how to live just old school, I don't even like the word old school, quietly, humbly, just finding the good energy in a side living in the hills, not showing off. And gradually that whole area got taken over by show-offs who have got money, come along and put an aesthetic into that existence, which I knew about 45 years ago. No, just really be just pulled right back into just the earthiness of the smell of grubbed, i.e. collected fallen wood every few months, filling up the lounge. Ferrets around, hedgehogs around. So basic. And that gives you energy to take notice in what's going on in society. And could I have anything to do with it? I personally accidentally ended up having something to do with something. And then that town got gradually taken over by these Toms. They brought their drugs in, which I actually have nothing to do with. But there's something else they brought in. But the thing is, they're not at all. I mean, it's all just about ego and pushing your persona and desperate need. If you've got the rural, the true, I hate elitism, and a lot of nature writing is elite. If you just have stood aside from everything, of course you don't stand aside from everything. You have to get on with your day and collect your fallen wood with your kid. Have animals. Experience continual, if you're living up in the hills, rotten wood. So you're thinking a month ahead. Could we have some lovely weather in a month that'll dry out that wood so I can get off the rot and put creosote on it and salvage it and keep that cage going another few years. That's your existence, and it's wonderful. It's so good for you. It's the existence I wished to have transmitted into my own daughter and one or two of her friends. If you live that, you're totally immune to all of the melodrama that people who can't live like that's their lives. And I saw it gradually over the years. But even there, in the middle of nowhere, gradually, I mean, there were already a few sort of highfalutin ex-special people. I mean, the nearest neighbour, one of them was a genuine countryman, actually, but with his wife, who'd been Led Zeppelin's road manager, and he's an appalling, unfriendly person who the rest of the world poisoned him. My daughter's play friend, and they were the first Toms and Kates, although made out to be something else. Anyway, but then there's two other things that crystallised.